The small probe drifted through space, its solar panels catching the dim light of distant stars. It had traveled for 37 years from Earth, carrying messages of peace and friendship from humanity. Inside its memory banks were thousands of hours of human culture, history, and knowledge. The probe's creators had hoped it would be humanity's first greeting to alien life. They never imagined it would become their death sentence. Commander Vexhal stood on the bridge of his massive warship, watching the strange object on his screens. His blue-scaled hands moved over the control panel as his team worked to decode the probe's contents. Around him, officers from 12 different alien species worked together as part of the Great Zephyrian Empire. For 800 years, they had brought peace and order to the galaxy. "Sir, we have finished translating their languages," reported Lieutenant Kess, her forearms typing rapidly. "The data is extensive." Vexhal nodded. "Show me what these humans want to tell us." The main screen lit up with images from Earth. At first, everything seemed normal. There were pictures of blue oceans, green forests, and white clouds. Cities full of light sparkled in the darkness. Children played in parks while their parents watched and smiled. Then the historical records began. Vexhal's eyes widened as he watched scenes of human warfare. Armies clashed with swords and spears. Ships fired cannons across stormy seas. Planes dropped bombs from the sky. The images kept coming, showing bigger and deadlier weapons with each passing century. Humans had turned rocks into clubs, metal into swords, chemicals into explosives, and atoms into weapons that could destroy entire cities. "By the ancestors," whispered Dr. Thane, the ship's science officer. His tentacles curled with fear as he watched the data. "They have been fighting each other for their entire recorded history." The archaeological records were even worse. Evidence of human conflict went back millions of years. Cave paintings showed stick figures with weapons. Ancient battlefields were filled with bones and broken spears. Every human civilization seemed to be built on the graves of the ones before it. "Look at this," Lieutenant Kess said, her voice shaking. She showed them records of something humans called World War II. They fought a single war that killed over 70 million of their own kind, and they kept detailed records of it all. Vexhal studied the data with growing horror. The humans had created weapons that could poison the air, burn through metal, and turn living beings into shadows on walls. They had built machines designed only for killing. Their entertainment was filled with violence. Their sports were competitions to see who could hurt others the most. "Sir," reported Communications Officer Zal, "there is more. They have detailed plans for biological weapons, chemical weapons, and something they call nuclear winter. They have actually calculated how to destroy all life on their own planet." The bridge fell silent. In all their years of exploring the galaxy, the Zephyrian Empire had never found a species like this. They had met warriors and hunters, but even the most violent races had limits. They fought for territory, for resources, or for survival. But humans seemed to fight for the joy of fighting itself. "They are sending this information as a greeting," Dr. Thane said quietly. "They want us to know what they are capable of." Vexhal's mind raced. The probe contained star maps showing Earth's location. It had information about human technology and population. Most terrifying of all, it showed that humans were already building ships to explore space. They were preparing to spread beyond their homeworld. "How many of them are there?" he asked. 8 billion on their home planet," Kess replied. "And growing. 8 billion violent beings who had spent their entire history perfecting the art of killing. 8 billion creatures who saw war as entertainment and weapons as toys, and they were getting ready to leave their world behind." Vexhal called an emergency meeting of his senior staff. Representatives from all 12 species of the Zephyrian Empire gathered in the conference room. The tall ones with their long necks, bent low to fit through the door. The rock people sat heavily in reinforced chairs. The mind speakers floated in tanks of breathing fluid. All of them had seen the human data. "The threat is clear," Vexhal began. "These humans are the most dangerous species we have ever encountered. They have no natural predators, no natural limits on their violence. They have turned their own world into a weapon. The tall one representative, Ambassador Hess, spoke in her musical voice. Perhaps we can reason with them, show them a better way. With what? Dr. Thane projected images into the air above the table. They have peaceful philosophies too, yes. But look at what they do with them. They start wars over which peaceful philosophy is correct. They kill each other in the name of gods who tell them not to kill. They are getting ready to leave their world, added a rock person in his deep, slow voice. Their probe shows designs for faster ships, better weapons. If they reach other inhabited worlds, the room fell silent. Everyone knew what would happen. Humans would spread across the galaxy like a disease, bringing violence and death wherever they went. They would destroy civilizations that had taken millions of years to build. We have no choice, Vexhal said finally. They must be contained. You mean quarantined? Asked Ambassador Hess hopefully. I mean stopped, permanently. The debate that followed was intense but brief. The evidence was too clear to argue with. Humanity was a threat not just to the Zephyrian Empire, but to all life in the galaxy. They had to be stopped before they could spread. Within hours, the largest Zephyrian fleet in centuries was moving toward Earth. 300 ships from 12 different worlds, all united by fear of what humanity might become. They carried weapons that could crack planets and shields that could stop stars. When they reached Earth's solar system, they found exactly what they expected. Human ships were already scattered throughout their star system, mining asteroids and building stations. Their technology was crude compared to Zephyrian standards, but it was clearly designed for war. Even their peaceful ships had weapon mounts. Vexhal positioned his fleet around Earth's sun, creating a blockade that nothing could escape. Then he sent a message to the human world. It was broadcast in all human languages at once. People of Earth. His voice boomed across radio waves and satellite networks. You have been judged by the Zephyrian Empire. Your nature has been found too dangerous to allow into the galaxy. You have 72 hours to surrender your weapons and submit to our authority. If you refuse, your world will be destroyed too. Protect all other life in the universe. Then he waited. Based on everything they had learned about humans, he knew what the response would be. These violent creatures would choose to fight rather than surrender. They would throw their primitive ships against his advanced fleet in a hopeless battle. They would die as they had lived, with weapons in their hands and war in their hearts. It would be quick, he told himself. Almost merciful. Better than letting them spread their violence to innocent worlds. But as Vexhal watched Earth through his ship's sensors, he began to see something unexpected. The humans were not just preparing for war. They were doing something else too. Something that would change everything he thought he knew about them. The response from Earth came exactly 72 hours later, just as Commander Vexhal had predicted. It was broadcast from every major city on the planet, translated into Zephyrian, and transmitted on all frequencies. To the alien fleet surrounding our world, the message began. We are humanity. We have survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters that would have ended weaker species. We have never surrendered to any threat, and we will not start now. If you want our world, you will have to take it from us. Vexhal nodded grimly. It was exactly what he had expected. The humans had chosen violence just like their history suggested they would. Their response confirmed everything the Zephyrian Empire believed about them. But what happened next surprised even him. Within hours of sending their defiant message, every nation on Earth began working together in ways they had never done before. Countries that had been enemies for centuries suddenly shared their most advanced weapons technology. Nuclear arsenals from different continents were combined and loaded onto hastily built space platforms. Military leaders, who had spent their careers planning to fight each other, now planned to fight the aliens together. Sir, reported Lieutenant Kess, they are mobilizing faster than we calculated. Every human military force is combining into a single fleet. Vexhal watched the screens with interest. How many ships? 237 combat vessels, plus another 400 converted civilian ships. Mining vessels with weapons, welded on. Cargo ships loaded with explosives. Even passenger liners with missile pods. Dr. Thane shook his head. They are turning everything into a weapon, just like their historical records showed. The human fleet launched from Earth 3 days later. It was an impressive sight, even Vexhall had to admit. The ships were crude and mismatched, but they flew in perfect formation. Leading them was a massive battleship that humans had built in just 2 weeks by combining parts from 3 different vessels. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, humanity's flagship. She was young for such an important command, but her record in Earth's regional conflicts had been impressive. Around her, officers from 12 different nations worked together as smoothly as if they had trained together for years. All ships, report ready for combat, announced her tactical officer. Nuclear weapons armed, kinetic weapons loaded, boarding parties standing by. Sarah nodded. Send a message to the alien fleet, tell them we are coming. The Battle of Neptune's orbit began at dawn, Earth time. The human fleet accelerated toward the Zephyrian blockade with their engines at maximum power. Their ships were slower than the alien vessels, but they flew in tight formations that made them hard to target. Vexhall watched from his command ship as the humans approached. All ships, open fire when they reach weapons range. Target their command vessel first. Space around Neptune lit up with energy beams and missile explosions. Zephyrian weapons, refined over centuries of warfare, struck human ships with devastating accuracy. The first wave of human attackers was destroyed in minutes, their crude armor no match for advanced alien technology. But the humans kept coming. "Sir," Lieutenant Kess reported, "they are using their destroyed ships as cover. The debris is blocking our sensors." Sarah Chen's voice crackled over the human communication channels. "All ships, remember the plan. We cannot match their weapons, but we can match their courage. Ram them if you have to. Board them if you can. Make every shot count." The human tactics were chaotic but effective. Instead of engaging in long-range combat where the aliens had every advantage, they closed distance as quickly as possible. Human ships rammed into Zephyrian vessels, their crews fighting hand-to-hand in the corridors. Boarding parties used old-fashioned explosives to disable alien systems from the inside. Commander Jake Morrison piloted his fighter directly into the engine of a Zephyrian cruiser, destroying both ships but allowing the human bombers behind him to reach their target. Captain Lisa Torres ordered her entire crew to abandon ship, then flew her burning destroyer into the middle of an alien formation before detonating her nuclear warheads. "They are insane," Dr. Thane whispered as he watched the battle. "They are willing to die for any small advantage." But it was exactly this willingness to sacrifice everything that made the humans so dangerous. Zephyrian officers, trained to preserve their ships and crews, hesitated to take the same risks. They had never fought an enemy that treated their own lives as just another weapon to be used. The battle raged for 6 hours. Human ships were destroyed by the dozens, but they inflicted heavy damage on the Zephyrian fleet. 3 alien capital ships were destroyed and 7 more were badly damaged. Hundreds of Zephyrian officers were killed in boarding actions. But in the end, human courage was not enough to overcome superior technology and numbers. The UES Defiance, surrounded by enemy ships and taking heavy damage, made one final charge at Vexhall's command vessel. Sarah Chen stood on her burning bridge, half her crew already dead. "All remaining power to engines," she ordered. "We are going to ram their flagship." The Defiance accelerated directly toward Vexhall's ship, its hull glowing red from enemy fire. Human escape pods launched from the dying vessel, carrying the few crew members who were still alive. "Target their bridge," Sarah said calmly as explosions tore through her ship. "If we cannot win this war, at least we can hurt them." The collision threw both ships across space. The Defiance broke apart on impact, killing everyone still aboard, including Captain Chen. But the damage to Vexhall's ship was severe. His bridge was destroyed, 40 crew members were dead, and his main weapons were offline. "Sir," Lieutenant Kess reported from the Emergency Command Center, "the human fleet has been destroyed. All their ships are either destroyed or disabled." Vexhall looked at the debris field that had once been humanity's first space fleet. Burning metal and frozen bodies drifted in the darkness. The humans had fought exactly as their history suggested they would, with violence and determination and a complete disregard for their own safety. Casualties? He asked. 12 ships destroyed, 31 damaged, over 800 crew members, dead or wounded. Vexhal was shocked. The humans had been completely outmatched, fighting with primitive weapons and converted civilian ships. Yet they had inflicted serious damage on one of the most advanced fleets in the galaxy. If they had been given time to build proper warships, sir. Communications Officer Zal interrupted his thoughts. We are receiving transmissions from Earth. They are requesting permission to recover the bodies of their dead. Denied, Vexhal replied. Prepare the invasion fleet. We will finish this before they can build another fleet. But as he gave the orders, Vexhal felt something he had not expected. The humans had fought bravely, even knowing they would lose. They had died protecting their world and their families. In a strange way, he almost respected them. Almost. But respect would not change what had to be done. The humans were too dangerous to be allowed to survive. Their response to the ultimatum had proven that. They chose war over surrender, just as their history showed they always did. The invasion of Earth would begin within days. This time, there would be no escape for humanity. Dr. Elena Vasquez sat in her small laboratory on Earth, watching the debris from the space battle drift past her window. The human fleet was gone. Captain Chen and thousands of other brave souls had died trying to protect their world. Now alien ships filled the sky preparing for invasion, but Elena was not preparing for war. Instead, she was recording a message. Her laboratory was filled with books, paintings, music recordings, and scientific equipment. Behind her, a wall displayed photos from every human culture. Children playing in Africa, festivals in Asia, art from Europe, dances from the Americas. My name is Dr. Elena Vasquez, she began, speaking directly into the camera. I am a xenobiologist, from Earth. I study life forms from other worlds, though until now I have only studied microbes and simple creatures. I have dreamed my whole life of meeting intelligent aliens. She paused, looking out at the alien ships surrounding her planet. I know you think we are monsters. I know you have seen our wars and our weapons and decided we are too dangerous to live. But there is something else about humanity that your data did not show you. Something that makes us who we really are. Elena pressed a button, and her message began broadcasting on every frequency humans could access. But she was not sending it to the alien command ship. Instead, she was sending it directly to the individual ships in the fleet, bypassing military channels and reaching ordinary alien crew members. I want to tell you about my grandmother, Elena continued. She lived through one of our worst wars. She saw her city bombed and her neighbors killed. She had every reason to hate and fight for the rest of her life. But do you know what she did instead? She adopted 3 children whose parents had died in the bombing. She spent 50 years teaching school, helping children from all backgrounds learn to read and think and dream. On the Zephyrian flagship, Lieutenant Kess accidentally intercepted Elena's transmission while monitoring human communications. She was about to delete it when something made her pause. The human woman's voice was gentle and sad, nothing like the aggressive tones they had heard from human military leaders. Sir, Kess said to Commander Vexhal, there is a transmission from the human world. It is different. Vexhal frowned. Another surrender offer? No, sir. I think you should see this. Elena's message continued, showing images of human art and music. She played a recording of children singing together in a dozen different languages. She showed paintings that captured the beauty of Earth's landscapes and the joy on human faces. She read poetry about love and hope and the desire for peace. We are not just warriors, Elena said. Yes, we fight. Yes, we have weapons. But we also create beauty. We also love our families. We also dream of a better future for our children. Every human who died in that space battle was someone's child, someone's parent, someone's friend. They fought not because they loved violence, but because they loved their world. Across the Zephyrian fleet, alien crew members stopped their work to watch Elena's transmission. It was being picked up by personal communication devices, spreading from ship to ship faster than the commanders. could stop it. On the Kree vessel Harmony's voice, engineer Tak watched Elena show pictures of human hospitals. These are places where we heal the injured, she explained. We have spent as much energy learning to save lives as we have learning to take them. These doctors work every day to help strangers, expecting nothing in return. Tak thought about his own people's medical facilities. The Kree were peaceful by nature, but even they did not have the advanced healing technology Elena was showing. How could such a violent species create such sophisticated ways to preserve life? Meanwhile, on Earth, something even more unexpected was happening. Instead of preparing for the invasion with weapons and fortifications, human leaders were doing something that confused the aliens completely. Commander James Park, the highest-ranking military officer left alive after the space battle, issued orders that shocked his own troops. All units are to provide medical aid to any injured alien crew members recovered from the battle, he announced. We are to treat wounded enemies with the same care we give to our own wounded. Captain Rebecca Stone, now in command of Earth's orbital defense platforms, received similar orders. Do not fire on any alien vessel unless they fire first. If any alien ship is disabled or in distress, we are to offer assistance. The first test came when a damaged Zephyrian patrol ship drifted too close to Earth's atmosphere. Its engines were failing, and the alien crew was trapped in a decaying orbit. According to standard military doctrine, this was a perfect opportunity to capture or destroy an enemy vessel. Instead, Captain Stone ordered her ships to rescue the aliens. UES Mercy to unknown alien vessel, she broadcast. We detect you are in distress. We are approaching to offer assistance. Do not be afraid. The Zephyrian crew, expecting to be captured or killed, were amazed when human ships arrived with repair equipment and medical supplies. Human engineers worked alongside alien technicians to fix the damaged engines. Human doctors treated injured alien crew members without asking questions. When the Zephyrian ship was repaired, Captain Stone's final transmission was even more shocking. You are free to return to your fleet. Tell your commanders that humanity does not make war on those who need help. News of the rescue spread through both fleets faster than official communications. Alien crew members began to wonder if they had been told the truth about human nature. Human crew members began to see their enemies as people, not monsters. Dr. Elena's broadcasts continued every day, each one showing a different aspect of human culture. She played music that moved alien listeners to tears. She showed art that captured emotions the aliens recognized in themselves. She read stories about humans who chose forgiveness over revenge, cooperation over conflict. This is a recording from our planet's history, Elena said one day, showing footage of humans helping each other during a natural disaster. When our cities are struck by earthquakes or floods, we do not ask about race or religion or nationality. We just help whoever needs help. This is also human nature. Commander Vexhal tried to stop the broadcasts, but they kept finding new ways to reach his crew. Elena's messages were being copied and shared through the fleet's personal communication networks. Worse, some of his own officers were starting to ask difficult questions. Sir, Dr. Thane said during a private meeting, I have been analyzing the human cultural data. Their capacity for cooperation and empathy is as well developed as their capacity for violence. Perhaps more so. They are trying to deceive us, Vexhal replied firmly. Everything they are showing us now could be lies, designed to make us lower our guard. But even as he said it, Vexhal was not entirely convinced. The human rescue of his patrol ship had been genuine. The medical care his crew received had been expert and compassionate. The humans had gained nothing from helping their enemies except the satisfaction of saving lives. The invasion force was ready. 300,000 alien troops waited in transport ships, prepared to conquer Earth. But for the first time in 8 centuries of expansion, Commander Vexhal hesitated before giving the order to attack. Something was happening that had never happened before in the history of the Zephyrian Empire. The enemy was not trying to defeat them with weapons. Instead, they were trying to understand them with kindness, and against all expectations, it was working. The invasion of Earth began 3 weeks after the space battle, but it was unlike any invasion in Zephyrian history. Commander Vexhal had expected desperate human resistance, guerrilla warfare, and brutal fighting in every city. Instead, he found something that completely changed his understanding of humanity. The first landing ships touched down in major cities around the world. Alien troops, armed with advanced weapons and protected by energy shields, prepared to face human armies. What they found instead were human civilians holding signs written in hastily learned alien languages. "Welcome to Earth," read one sign held by an elderly woman in New York. "We hope you will be our friends." Lieutenant Commander Zex of the Rock People landed his troops in London, expecting to secure strategic positions against human military forces. Instead, he found the city's defenders had already withdrawn to avoid civilian casualties. The streets were filled with humans offering food, water, and medical care to any aliens who needed it. "This makes no sense," Zex reported to his commander. "Where are their soldiers? Where are their weapons?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Elena Vasquez approached the alien landing zone alone, carrying a white flag and a translator device she had built using technology from the crashed alien patrol ship. "Commander," she said to Zex, "my name is Elena. I am the one who has been sending messages to your ships. I would like to invite you and your officers to dinner tonight. I want to show you something important about my people." Zex was confused and suspicious. "Is this some kind of trap?" "No trap," Elena replied. "Just dinner and conversation, and maybe the beginning of understanding." That evening, in a small restaurant in central London, something extraordinary happened. Elena had gathered 20 humans from different backgrounds: doctors, teachers, artists, engineers, parents, and students. They sat at tables with Zex and his alien officers, sharing food and stories. "This is my daughter," said Maria Santos, a school teacher, showing pictures on her phone. "She is studying to be a doctor. She wants to help sick people, no matter where they come from." "These are my students," said Professor Kim, a physicist. "They have been working on clean energy projects. They dream of a world where no one has to fight over resources because there is enough for everyone." The alien officers listened with growing amazement. These humans were not the savage warriors they had expected. They were people with families and dreams and hopes for the future, just like themselves. Engineer Martinez, who had helped repair the alien patrol ship, brought blueprints showing improvements he had made to Zephyrian technology. "Your energy systems are very efficient," he explained to the alien engineers. "But if you add this modification, they become 30% more powerful while using less fuel." The alien engineers studied the plans with excitement. Martinez had solved a problem they had been working on for decades, and he was sharing the solution freely with his supposed enemies. "Why are you helping us?" asked Lieutenant Yes, a young, tall one who was barely older than a human teenager. "We came here to conquer your world." Elena smiled sadly. "Because that is what humans do. When we see someone who needs help, we help them. When we see someone who is afraid, we try to comfort them. When we see someone who is lost, we try to show them the way home." Reports from similar dinners and meetings came in from all over Earth. In every city where alien forces had landed, humans were reaching out with offers of friendship and cooperation. They shared their technology, their culture, and their food with beings who had come to destroy them. Commander Vexhal received these reports with growing confusion and concern. "This is not how conquests work," he told Dr. Thane. "The humans should be fighting us, not feeding us." "Sir," Dr. Thane replied carefully, "I have been studying their behavior patterns. I believe we may have misunderstood their fundamental nature." "Explain." "Humans are indeed capable of great violence, Doctor," Thane said. "But violence is not their primary trait. Their primary trait is adaptation. They adapt to any situation by forming social bonds with whoever they encounter. Even their historical wars were often followed by former enemies becoming close allies." Vexhal studied reports from across the occupied Earth. Human children were learning alien languages not to spy, but because they were genuinely curious about alien cultures. Human scientists were collaborating with alien researchers, creating new technologies neither could develop alone. Human doctors were treating wounded alien soldiers with the same care they gave to human patients. They are trying to absorb us, Vexhal realized with alarm. They are not fighting the occupation, they are changing it from within. This was exactly what was happening. In Tokyo, a group of human artists had collaborated with alien musicians to create a new form of music that expressed emotions both species could understand. In Berlin, human and alien engineers were working together to design better spacecraft. In Cairo, alien and human archaeologists were sharing knowledge about the history of both civilizations. The most disturbing report came from Captain Vell of the Mind Speakers. "Commander," she said in her telepathic voice, "I can read the thoughts of these humans. They are not pretending to be friendly. They genuinely care about our welfare. They see us not as invaders, but as guests who need help finding their way." "That is impossible," Vexhal replied. "No species behaves that way toward conquerors." "The humans do, sir. And more disturbing still, their attitude is affecting our own troops. 3 of my officers have requested permission to extend their tours on Earth. They say they have learned more in 3 weeks here than in 10 years of military service." This was the beginning of the end of Zephyrian unity. Across the occupation, Force alien soldiers were questioning their orders and forming personal relationships with humans. The careful discipline that had held the Empire together for 8 centuries was dissolving in the face of humanity's relentless kindness. Commander Cade of the Crystal Singers reported that his troops were refusing to follow orders that might harm human civilians. Commander Dex of the Water Breathers said his scientists were sharing classified technology with human researchers. Even the Rock People, famous for their rigid military discipline, were beginning to see humans as friends, rather than enemies. "Sir," Lieutenant Kess said during one of their command meetings, "I have been thinking about what the human woman Elena said. She said that humans fight not because they love violence, but because they love their families. What if we have been wrong about them all along?" Vexhal felt his carefully constructed worldview crumbling around him. The Zephyrian Empire had been built on the idea that the strong should rule the weak, that order came from conquest, and that peace came from the fear of superior weapons. But the humans were showing them a different way. They were showing that true strength came not from the ability to destroy enemies, but from the ability to turn enemies into friends. As reports continued to pour in from across Earth, Vexhal realized that his invasion was not failing because the humans were defeating his forces. It was failing because his forces no longer wanted to defeat the humans. For the first time in his long military career, Commander Vexhal began to wonder if there might be a better way to bring peace to the galaxy than conquest and fear. But before he could explore this possibility further, a new threat appeared on the edge of the solar system, one that would test everything both humans and aliens had learned about each other. The alarm signals began at dawn, Earth time. Every sensor in the solar system detected the same terrifying signature, dozens of massive ships appearing from hyperspace beyond Pluto's orbit. But these were not Zephyrian vessels or any technology the Empire recognized. They were something far worse. Commander Vexhal rushed to his emergency command center, where Lieutenant Kess was already analyzing the incoming data. Her forearms moved frantically over the controls as she tried to identify the new arrivals. "Sir," she reported, her voice tight with fear, 37 ships of unknown design. They are not responding to any communications. Their hull configuration matches records of the Devourers." The bridge fell silent. Every alien officer knew that name, whispered in stories told to frighten children. The Devourers were a hive-mind species that consumed entire civilizations, leaving nothing but empty planets behind. They had been following the expansion of the Zephyrian Empire for decades, always staying just behind the main fleets, feeding on the chaos left by conquest. "How did they find us so quickly?" Dr. Thane asked. Vexhal knew the answer, and it made him sick with guilt. "They follow our invasion fleets. They wait for us to weaken a system with warfare, then they move in to consume everything that remains." On Earth, Dr. Elena Vasquez was in her laboratory when the warnings came through. She had been working with a team of human and alien scientists, trying to improve communication technology. Now she watched in horror as the scanner displays showed ships designed for only one purpose: destruction. "What are they?" asked Engineer Martinez, who had become friends with several Zephyrian technicians over the past weeks. Elena's alien colleague, Dr. Thane, had shared the answer during one of their research sessions. "They call themselves the Devourers," she said quietly. "They are a species that has given up individual thought in favor of a collective mind, focused only on consumption and growth. They destroy everything they encounter." Across Earth and throughout the alien fleet, the same realization was taking hold. The occupation was forgotten, the conflict between human and alien insignificant compared to this new threat. If the Devourers reached Earth, they would consume every living thing on the planet, human and alien alike. Commander Vexhal made a decision that would have been impossible weeks before. He opened a direct communication channel to Earth's military leadership. "This is Commander Vexhal of the Zephyrian Empire," he broadcast. "I am speaking to all human and alien forces in this system. We face a common enemy that threatens all life here. I propose an immediate alliance." The response came from Admiral Lisa Chen, Sarah's younger sister, who had taken command of Earth's remaining defenses. "Commander Vexhal," she said, "my sister died fighting your fleet 3 weeks ago, but she also died protecting her home. If you are willing to help us protect this world, then we will fight alongside you." What followed was the fastest military integration in recorded history. Human and alien engineers worked together around the clock to combine their technologies. Zephyrian shields were adapted to human ships. Human weapons were installed on alien vessels. Communication systems were merged so both species could coordinate their efforts. Dr. Elena found herself at the center of this integration, using her knowledge of both human and alien psychology to help the different species work together. "Remember," she told a mixed group of engineers, "we are no longer humans and aliens. We are all people of this system, fighting to protect our home." The technology sharing produced incredible results. Human creativity and adaptability combined with alien knowledge and precision created weapons and defenses neither species could have developed alone. Engineer Martinez worked with Zephyrian scientists to create energy shields that could protect entire cities. Dr. Kim collaborated with alien physicists to develop new propulsion systems that made ships faster and more maneuverable. But the greatest breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Captain Rebecca Stone, working with alien tacticians, developed a completely new form of warfare. Instead of treating ships as individual units, they began to think of the entire combined fleet as a single organism, with human intuition guiding alien precision. "The Devourers fight as a hive mind," Stone explained to the Joint Command Staff. "They coordinate perfectly, but they cannot adapt quickly to unexpected changes. Our advantage is that we can think as individuals and work as a team at the same time." When the Devourer fleet reached Jupiter's orbit, they found something they had never encountered before in their centuries of consumption: a unified defense that combined the strengths of multiple species. The battle for Earth's solar system lasted 3 days and changed the nature of warfare forever. Human fighters, protected by alien shields and armed with hybrid weapons, struck like lightning at the massive Devourer ships. Alien capital ships, guided by human tactical innovation, attacked from directions the hive mind had never anticipated. Admiral Chen commanded the human forces with a combination of her sister's courage and her own strategic brilliance. "All ships," she broadcast to the combined fleet, "remember that we are fighting for more than just our own survival. We are fighting for the right of different species to choose their own future." Commander Vexhal, fighting alongside the people he had come to conquer, discovered something he had never expected. Leading a truly united force was more powerful than commanding through fear. "All Zephyrian ships," he ordered, "protect the human vessels. They are our allies in this battle." The turning point came when Engineer Martinez, working from a human space station, solved a problem that had puzzled military strategists for generations. The Devourer hive mind communicated through quantum entanglement across their entire fleet. By creating interference in their communication network, the Allied forces could break their perfect coordination. "Elena," Martinez called to Dr. Vasquez over the communication system, I need you to help me explain this to both human and alien crews. We can blind their hive mind, but only if everyone works together perfectly." Elena's voice carried across the entire Allied fleet, speaking in multiple languages to reach every crew member. "Listen carefully," she said. "We are about to attempt something that has never been done before. We are going to think as one people, fighting as one force, to defeat an enemy that thinks only of destruction." The final assault was a masterpiece of cooperation. Human ships created quantum interference that disrupted devourer communications. Alien vessels exploited the confusion with precision strikes that human tactics had made possible. Working together, they accomplished what neither species could have achieved alone. When the last devourer ship was destroyed or driven away, the combined fleet found itself in a strange situation. The threat that had brought them together was gone, but none of them wanted to return to the conflict that had divided them before. Admiral Chen spoke for many when she addressed the alien fleet. "Commander Vexhall, 3 weeks ago we were enemies. Today we are allies. I propose we stay that way." The transformation was remarkable. The Zephyrian Empire, built on conquest and fear, began to dissolve not through rebellion or defeat, but through evolution. In its place rose something new, the Terran Alliance, a confederation built on the human principle that former enemies could become the strongest friends. Commander Vexhall, now Ambassador Vexhall, stood in Elena's laboratory 6 months later, watching human and alien children play together in the garden outside. They were learning each other's languages not for military intelligence, but because they enjoyed talking to new friends. "I came here to stop humanity from spreading violence across the galaxy," he said to Elena. "Instead, you taught us that there was an alternative to violence." Elena smiled as she watched a human child teach an alien child how to throw a ball. "That is what humans do best," she said. "We adapt, and we help others adapt too. When we meet someone different from us, we do not try to make them like us. We try to learn how we can be better together than we were apart." Word of the Terran. Alliance spread across the galaxy faster than any military conquest. Other species, tired of the endless cycle of empire and rebellion, began to seek out this new form of civilization. They came not as conquerors or subjects, but as partners in building something better. The humans had indeed been dangerous, Vexhall reflected, but not in the way he had expected. They were dangerous to hatred, to fear, to the idea that differences between people meant they had to be enemies. They were dangerous to the old ways of thinking that kept civilizations isolated and suspicious of each other. As he watched human and alien engineers work together on their latest project, a ship designed not for war, but for exploring the galaxy and meeting new friends, Vexhall realized that humanity's true strength had never been their capacity for violence. It had been their capacity to turn violence into something better, to turn enemies into family, to turn fear into hope. And now, spreading outward from Earth toward distant stars, that strength was changing the galaxy forever.